Alrighty. What's up, my brother? How you doing? How you feeling?
Good morning, O. Getting ready for a weekend. I have been fascinated by what you were just talking about, your fasting journey. So that's been interesting to me. Just checked out Tuas luau, like you said. A lot of cool things.
Yeah, no. Some guy on Twitter was like, like everybody's talking about he's leaner. And go, well, why don't we just say what it was? He was fat last year, and I'm like, no, you asshole. I'm fat. Tua wasn't walking around with a keg in his stomach like I was, you idiot. He was thicker because he was trying to protect his body. Now he's looking for a more leaner look. And people have asked me about this, and I've said, will it affect how he protects himself? And I said no, because you can strengthen your body without necessarily being thicker like he did this past year, and I understood what he was trying to do. But now, because he's trying to accomplish something else, you can actually still shell your body, but you're going to have to do it in a leaner and a more muscular way instead of more of a what's it called? What is it? Thicker
Good.
way or
Yeah,
something where bulkier way. In other words, a
sure.
bulkier way, because there's different ways. You've seen those guys that are muscular, but they're like this, and then you've seen the guys that are muscular, but they're lean, they're clean. And that doesn't mean that they're any weaker than the other guys. They're just as strong, but it's a different kind of shell. And I think that that's what he's trying to accomplish now, a different kind of shell, because he's looking for a little bit more flexibility. And that's kind of what he's trying to accomplish now with speed, agility, and flexibility. You need a different kind of body in order to do that.
It's interesting. I put out a tweet and I didn't even realize it was a pun. No pun intended, but then it turned out to be because I took a picture of Tua when he was talking to
Right.
reporters for his interview. I put Tua's fit, his as an outfit, the word the kids use, fit,
Right.
short for outfit, because he was dressed in his Polynesian and Hawaiian attire for his luau.
Of
And then
course.
I realized, oh wait, there's a double meaning there. Tua is fit also, which is a testament to his offseason, the work he's been doing. We know locally with Nick Hicks. Of course, now we know he's also working on his throwing mechanics, a little tweak in his throwing motion with 3D QB and John Beck out there in Southern California. But as far as the weight, right? That was intentional last year. That was intentional to be a little bit bulkier because he had the two concussions from the year before that, 2022, that caused him to miss those 5.5 games, and that was the big question. So I remember that third season, he took the strides in his game as far as he put together those 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, all that, the quarterback rating and whatnot. But then he couldn't stay on the field, so that was a big question mark. So to check that mark to mark that off the box, then it was all right. He's got to find ways to be able to stay healthy, withstand these hits. One of the ways was adding on that weight. It was also the jiu-jitsu training and learning how to fall, and then that helped him. He played a full healthy season for the first time in his career because of that. And then now it's all right, expand on that. You have your strength. Now let's also get you leaner at that strength where you can also maybe extend plays in the pocket, move, present more agility while you're back there, in addition to now protecting yourself better with a stronger body.
I've explained this on the show the last week and a half or two to people on what's going on, and then the whole QB3, and it's like, oh wow, he's doing this to, and I go, well, this is part of his whole growing process. Remember, he's different than every other QB. He came into the league with a hip injury, so his first offseason into the NFL, he could only rehab his hip to just get healthy enough to just play football, but his core wasn't healthy. And so now he got through an NFL season without really fully healthy yet. The following offseason, what does he have to do? He has to work on strengthening that core, that hip, all that stuff. Then he takes all those brutal hits and the concussions. So now he has to then come back and go back to the drawing board and say, okay, so how do I combat that? And then so he goes and gets thicker so he can combat that. And now he's coming back with, okay, so I did that. Okay, how do I stay alive? Oh, that's right. I got to get rid of the football quickly. I got to make sure my body is tougher. Oh, now I got to make sure I have a little bit more agility. What do I need to do now? okay, let's see if I can work on my throwing motion, quicken the release, all those kind of things. Let's see if I can work on my body so I can lean a little bit more, so I can be quicker and more explosive out of the pocket and move around and all those kind of things. People don't understand what's going on is just a young man that is just you're boxing, right? You're hitting, he's counterpunching. You're hitting, he's counterpunching. That's exactly what he's doing. Life is hitting his ass, and now he's counterpunching and finding out because he came in at a disadvantage and he's had to fight from that disadvantage on in order to just get to an even level playing field like normal quarterbacks. Like right now, think about this. Now's when he's going into his third, not his fifth season. No, 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 no. He's really going into his third season with the real coach in the real system, and he's healthier than he's ever been. He now also mentally understands everything more than he did because think about it. Your coach hates you, doesn't really want you, doesn't really want to coach you, and now you still have to play for your team in the first 2 years. Do you know how difficult and what an uphill battle that is? It's almost impossible. He's really only had these 3 years to really naturally grow while he's overcoming all the physical stuff. I don't think people ever take a macro look at what he's doing and how he's building. And this is why I have zero freaking doubts that this guy will be great. Zero doubts because he does everything that is necessary to be great and he has great abilities. So once all this clashes, dude, once he knows coaches around the league and knows the defensive tendencies and he knows the players and all that kind of shit, and he's seen them over and over again, and once his body and he understands it's all going to come together at one point, and it's going to be beautiful, dude. It's come together on pure ability and intelligence. Wait till it comes together on complete chemistry. And then I think people will see the real Tua. But I think it's just we're watching a young man grow and deal with every adversity along the way.
Yeah. At the core of everything that you're talking about there is that hip. So he comes into the NFL with a very serious hip injury, like one that, okay, yeah, his rookie year, he showed up in, what was it, week 5 against the Jets, and then started games after that, week 6, whatever it was. Then Brian Flores put him in for Ryan Fitzpatrick as a starter. It goes on and on. Obviously, wasn't his first 2 seasons weren't everything that he was cracked up to be coming out of the draft as a quarterback prospect.
But still won more than lost.
Yes,
Still threw more touchdowns than interceptions. So I mean, with all the adversity, injury, and everything, dude, the guy still was productive. You know.
Yeah. But what I'm going to get to is with that hip, then that obviously sets him back from a starting point as far as his career. So he's starting at not even what he was as a college quarterback. Now he is set back to a further point away from that mark. So then he's starting off from back there. He has those first 2 seasons. Really, it's still affecting him in the offseason, that offseason going into year 3. I remember writing about it and his offseason training that year, and how so much of what he was doing with Perform and Nick Hicks was that lower body is and generating, because everyone said, all right, his arm strength, this and that. Well, how he developed his greater arm strength was, which he already had to some extent, but not like the big arm quarterbacks. But then it was generating through the lower body. That's how you generate. It's not arm strength, but throwing strength. So expanding that, and then that at the core of that is really the hip. So then the lower body, that he strengthened the legs back then, and then the hip, and then now you're even seeing that because in that tweak throwing motion, that hip is really thrusting, and there's an extra sort of umph coming from the hip. That's going to allow him to put a little bit more on his pass, going to allow him to maintain his mechanics and his throwing motion and get the ball out quicker, even when he's under pressure and about to take a hit. So that's going to be one of the big things that I think we'll see from Tua this offseason, going into his 5th year, as you say, 3rd year, where he's got the system, got the hip in the rearview mirror from college and all that. And I think what you said was very beautifully put, is just the willingness that he has to improve and hold himself accountable, do whatever he needs to do every offseason so that he can take whatever stride he needs to take, whether it's improving his throwing strength from generating from the lower body one offseason, then bulking up so that he can handle hits another offseason, getting leaner the next offseason, and fine-tuning his throwing motion. All these things it just really shows the commitment that he has to his craft.
Yeah, man. This kid's a pro's pro, dude, and to me, I think it's just going to get better and better. Well, and by the way, I love how everybody wanted to quick. He'll be at mini camp. There'll be no holdouts. Come on, bro. I mean, it really. Why is this even a subject? Why is this even talked about? Why is 1 ounce of ink wasted on this shit? Like this is. We just talked about this is the ultimate team guy. That was never a topic, bro. That guy was never going to hold out. There's no adversity. There's no animosity. There's nothing going on between the two in this organization. It's a marriage, bro. It's just in June, bro. You'll all get the numbers in June. It'll happen. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I never even really saw that as something. It wasn't on my mind too much. I didn't think he would actually miss any OTAs. But Mike McDaniel had already said that at owners' meetings that he expects him. I don't think Mike McDaniel is going to say one thing. Like, there's a certain level of communication between the two where it's not like McDaniel is going to say one thing and Tua's actually doing something else. These two, they communicate well. It's, if you hear something from one side, it's going to be the same thing on the other side. And Tua, of course, ultimate team guy. So I never really saw that as any realistic possibility that he would actually miss OTAs.
By the way, you could tell he's the dude, bro. I mean, he could play guitar and sing also on top of all of that. I mean, he put on a concert for you guys yesterday.
Yeah, and to your point about him and the organization, just everyone that shows up for his event, Mike McDaniel every year showing up, and in the past he'd get up on stage and do different things in the Polynesian culture, which is a big emphasis at Tuas Luau. But new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver was out there, obviously offensive coordinator Frank Smith, quarterbacks coach Darryl Bevel. We saw Dan Marino there. He was Jim Kelly was in the crowd, and when Dan Marino was up there, whose foundation works in conjunction with Tua's foundation. He shouted out that Jim Kelly was out there. Jason Taylor was out there. So, a lot of big Dolphins names.
Yeah, man. Yeah. How about former current players? How many did you see out there?
Yeah, not too many. I know they were at in California, or I'm sorry, not California, Hawaii. Teron Armstead was out there. Jalen Ramsey was out there. So at least maybe they were filing in while we were talking to Tua, but I didn't see too many of the current players out there.
Do you guys have total access, or are you kept away? And
no, we saw a lot of the tables all around. I mean, we could see just about everyone. One guy that I did see was Justin Bethel. But maybe they were at tables where I didn't get a good sight line and such. But yeah,
it doesn't look like it's really more about players. It looks more about fans and the organization and then sponsors, I'm sure, because
the tables are more full with like big money spenders that are going to bid on these auction items.
Right.
It's not like players, they can go get that from their boy who's on another team. They do their jersey swaps after games and stuff. So there's a lot of like memorabilia that's being auctioned off. So you want to cram in as many people who are going to throw down some cash. But yeah, like in the past, I mean, we've seen Raheem Mostert, who has also been at some of Tua's foundation stuff this year. River Craycraft, I know. Players show up to his stuff, but I don't know too many of the current players out there at this particular event. And it's the off season. They're going to get actually coming back for off-season workouts on Monday. It would be so it would be the first game. So
no, I know there are a lot of them are vacationing now. And by the way, it says a lot that Teron and Jalen were the guys that went with Tua to Hawaii.
Right.
That says a whole ton, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have these are guys that are older than Tua, so that means even though they see him as a younger player, but he's a quarterback, he's a leader, so they view him as a leader that same way. So that goes to show you, when you have the respect of your elders, that says a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And they're not going to bring the players so they can make money off of them. They'll get the sponsors and the crazy fans that don't want to pay for all that stuff. What else did you find newsworthy last night?
Yeah, no, I mean, Tua basically said he's letting his agent deal with the contract talks. So he didn't want to get into too many specifics as far as his training, but that he is indeed working with a 3D QB. John Beck specifically, obviously the 2007 second-round pick of the Dolphins, and a backup quarterback, but really well-remarked quarterbacks coach. So, I'm also thinking, okay, working with Darrell Bevel and seeing him out there, wondering how the two, whatever he's fine tuning with John Beck, how the things can coincide. Whatever he's also hearing from Darrell Bevel. So, I'm thinking maintaining some sort of even platform that, okay, we're on the same page. But as far as what Tua said, a lot about his foundation, how he's expanding, and how he had that golf tournament, a youth football camp, and how he's really trying to do this for the youth, uplift the youth in mainly three areas, the places he's lived: Hawaii, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and now South Florida.
Good shit as always, man. What are you working on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah. Oh, well, we were talking about my mock draft last time, so I did come out with it. That was up there. So I put my GM cap on, and then I was able to trade down. That was a topic of discussion between us, whether you pick at 21 or trade down. I did have Latu off the board at that point. So if he would have been there, then that's probably more tempting to just go ahead and snag him up at 21. But I did find a trade down scenario. I felt the Buccaneers at 26. Maybe they want to get in front of the Eagles if they're both thinking cornerback. They both need to fix their secondary, improve in their pass defense. So maybe they want to get in front of the Eagles for a cornerback. And then if the Dolphins can move back, add a third-round pick, which the Bucs have two of those. So I sort of saw that as an opportunity. And still get Graham Barton for the Dolphins, interior offensive lineman out of Duke.
Okay.
So
lineman.
Yeah, so I like it. Yeah.
I like it. All right. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend.
You got it. Welt Rheaume, the finest in the business. Jeff Welt, Daniel Rheaume, they are absolute ass kickers. Let me tell you something. If every Dolphin quarterback had these two as tackles, they would never get sacked. And you won't either. Okay? And the laws nowadays, when it comes to hurricane coverage and all that kind of stuff, as you've noticed, we kind of lost some leverage here, and companies are bailing on us and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's because, our governor did not give us the best breaks on that one. I would say the companies got the breaks and not us. So now the best way we defend ourselves when we do have to make a claim and when something does happen, you got to call your lawyer first and foremost before you call the insurance company, and you got to have the right lawyers, because if you don't have the right lawyers, you are going to pay double. Welt Rheaume, I've seen it firsthand. They did it for us. 954-966-4646. Bankruptcy, personal injury, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation. They can help you. They're in Hollywood. 954-966-4646 for Welt Rheaume.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.